Hi friends, host Eric here, host of Talking with Fantasy People. I forgot to plug in this microphone before I started this. So I'm hopeful that even though I plugged it in after I started this, you're getting audio from the microphone. If in fact you're getting no audio, then if somebody can alert me to that fact, I'd appreciate it. Let's see what this is. Well, I'm assuming that in fact, yes, I'm getting audio. But again, if I'm wrong, please be the person who saves the day and informs me of that. I'm here at Le Meridian Hotel in Arcadia, California. Rachel and I came down yesterday to see Delilah briefly and also to return some things that Rachel needed to return. So, we're going to be heading back up to Mariposa later on this morning, but Rachel's still asleep. I didn't really feel like getting her up. And good morning to the one person who joined me here now. Please let me know if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, it's because I plugged in the microphone after I started the stream. I should have plugged it in before. I'm a little concerned that might have affected the audio. But hopefully the phone and the YouTube can figure it out. And we'll realize that, okay, go ahead and use this microphone. On the other hand, if it's not using this microphone, but it's still using the phone microphone, that's not the end of the world. It's not going to be as audio clear as I would like it to be, but you should still be able to hear me. Worst case scenario, plugging in the microphone made it so that I have no audio at all. Audio is working fine. Good morning to you, Lou. Nice to see you this morning. I hope you're having a pleasant morning. I've had what I might call an emotionally rich yesterday and this morning. I found coming back to Arcadia yesterday made me somewhat sad. It just kind of drives home the point that my past is gone, you know? That the life I knew for most of my life, which was centered here in the San Gabriel Valley, is over, and that a new life has begun that's severed all these links to the past that I had before. Good morning, Winston's mom. How are you this fine April morn? We're back here in our favorite hotel. It was very nice. We only saw her for about an hour. We went to the old spaghetti factory. We had some dinner and chatted a bit. You know, we talked about the renormalization of life after all this upheaval. We discussed how it was just a year ago approximately that Rachel and me and my dad and Candace and Delilah's biological mom and Candace's extended family, that we were all at Delilah's college graduation ceremony. And at that moment, things seemed pretty normal, I guess. You know, my mom was already in the nursing home, but things seemed kind of normal. Within 6 months, my dad would be, well, within 7 months, both my parents would be dead. And we'd begin this process of selling a house, buying a house, etc. It was very traumatic, really. Yeah, life is strange, the way things work out. It's like, it's interesting. But, it wasn't that long ago that I felt like I had recaptured my native joy a bit. I was watching TV one night and really just enjoying the hell out of the shows I was watching and laughing and crying and, emotionally engaging with the material I was viewing. And it struck me like, oh, this is how it used to be a few years ago, a couple years ago, The thing is, I don't feel like we've really settled into a meaningful new norm in Mariposa yet. We're still kind of, well, I'm not very creatively active at all, which has always been something for a long time that has been a defining quality of myself, is that I like to make stuff. I like to play a lot, And I haven't been playing that much. I mean, I've been watching a lot of TV. I've been enjoying sports. I've been doing periodic, like, chore kind of things that make me feel pretty good. But I haven't been celebrating or embracing a joyful new reality in which I can play and do what I want when I want to and don't have any real responsibilities that I have to concern myself about. There's the factor of energy levels too. Have you transplanted a plant? It takes time for tender roots to adjust and then a bit more time for the new roots to grow and expand. It's a good analogy. I'm like a tender bean sprout. I need soil, water, sunshine, and love. Otherwise, I'll die. Well, we have an assortment of woodland friends that I care for at the house now. Or at least I give them woodland cutlets, which mostly is sunflower seeds, but it does have some other stuff in it too. They're going to be wondering this morning, like, hey, where are our cutlets? That's what the squirrels are going to be saying this morning. Where are our cutlets? Thing is, I want to play with wood more too. Like, there's so much wood around my house. I've got a Dremel tool, I've got spade bits, I've got a pole saw, which is like an electric chainsaw. I've got a circular saw that needs a new blade. That blade is about as sharp as Captain Doll of the Doll Pants Brigade. From where I'm sitting here, I can see what we as kids called the water tower. I don't know if it's actually a water tower, what I'm looking at, but there is a water tower up there near that thing. There's this big, it looks like a big square, white square on the mountains up there. You probably can't see it, but that is either the water tower way up there on the mountains, or it's right next to the water tower. And the water tower is somewhere where I went camping with my friends as a teenager. As young as like 13 or 14, we'd get a ride up to, get dropped off at Chantry and hike up there and spend the night up there, or even ride our bicycles up to Chantry. That's a tough ride, let me tell you. A steep hill. But this whole place, Arcadia, Los Angeles, is so full of memories. And I think the memories are most powerfully linked to emotions. So it's like driving back into LA from out of town, from up north. It reminds me, or triggers thoughts of returning from college to home, and that sense of satisfaction of, I'm back in LA, that I get when I came home from college. Being an SI type means I have to consciously, willfully do work to remind myself I am now in a new reality, and these are the specifics of it. And the previously existing foundation for the self that I understood as being centered around here no longer exists. Both my parents are dead. I say that to myself practically every day. It's an SI thing, because the most ontologically terrifying possibility is that there's some occasion in which you forget that and behave as though it weren't the case for a little while. And then you remember all of a sudden, oh shit, they're dead. Everything's different. It wasn't a super long time ago that I think Rachel was in the car, that I went to go home and started driving to my old Temple City house. That's exactly the sort of thing you want to avoid if you're an SI type, is forgetting which reality you're in, and like going home and expecting Lacey to come bounding around the corner and then remembering she's dead. That's like, that would be a real kick in the gut, Or get up the freeway and start driving to my parents' house, forgetting that that's not our house anymore and my parents are dead. That would be a real kick in the gut. It hasn't happened because, that process of them dying was so extended, really. I had those last few years with both of them there for a little while, and then it was just my dad and Rachel to get used to the idea. Still, I find this hotel comforting. Like when we came in here, it made me feel like, oh, I do still have a home in Arcadia. It's this hotel. And we slept beautifully last night. Maintaining a sense of presence in real time is hard work. I don't think it is for an NI-DOM, but it is for an SI user, SI fourth especially, which is not updating your SI shit as frequently as somebody who's like SI DOM, SI tool. There was a period of my life when I would wake up, or like as I'm going to sleep, suddenly remember and have these stretches of ontological terror, existential terror, because I'd realized that all the normalcies of my childhood were gone. Like that, we go back to my parents' house, and none of the people I knew when I was a kid that lived there were still there, and that Mr. Rowley had died, and blah, 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 it terrified me to recognize that things changed when I wasn't paying attention. I'm more often in the future than the past, but it's still missing the mark of the present. I mean, I'm most present when I'm doing this. This is the kind of thing that it makes me feel actually present. Because, maybe because it's FE third or something, things don't feel real to me unless they're communicated to other people. So like, I might do all these chores around the house and be glad that the mess is cleaned up or whatever. But it doesn't really give me any satisfaction because these are just maintenance tasks and they're done in isolation. Rachel may note it, appreciate it, say thank you or whatever, but it's still not a social event in any sense of the word. I feel most myself when live streaming, interestingly. But I'd like to see myself segue into more creative projects and less of a default towards live streaming. As a means of expressing myself, I guess. Of course, the other thing to remember is that for every state of emotional anything less than euphoria, it links somewhat to my relationship with Adderall. Eureka TV asks, is it because NE first and FE third? Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with that. You know, I think it's a gift to know when you feel most yourself. That's it disappeared too fast for me. I couldn't finish reading it. But maybe if I push this, live chat. That's been an emergent process for me, I think. It's a gift to know when you feel most yourself. Well, in this context, I can externalize and put into specific sentences the vagaries of dis-ease that may trouble me and or the various enthusiasms that I may be currently intellectualizing about or whatever. It was interesting to hear Delilah say that she doesn't stop moving. Like, she's a little scared of what's going to happen when she does. She's lost not just both grandparents, but additionally a third grandparent. Her mother's father died. This was all within, 5 months of each other or something. So, naturally, she feels as though keeping busy is sort of keeping her away from the quiet reflection that would probably be less than fully positive emotionally, Did I leave my cigarettes in the car? I did leave my cigarettes in the car. I think I may have to leave you guys here for a second and go get my cigarettes because I don't think we're going to get any Wi-Fi out by the car. What I could do, though, possibly, is just put you right out here, and you can watch me go to the car. That'd be pretty exciting for you. Wow. They've really got this internet so that as soon as you walk out the door, you don't get any internet at all. So, anyway, I smoked a couple of hits off that cigarette. This isn't going to be an especially long live stream anyway. I'm basically just killing time until I decide to get Rachel up and we head back home. It does take time to care what one thinks about themselves. Yeah, well, understanding the self and understanding the world and one's place in it. It's like people who best understand the world least understand themselves. People who best understand themselves least understand the world. And the question is, what's your place in the world? So you need to have some understanding of both. I have a great deal of clarity about the world, universalities and stuff, but not so much about myself. And my clarity about myself tends to be of the SI sort, not the FI sort, which isn't very informative about, ultimately, your place in the world, you know? Like, what's my role? How do I be genuinely productive in ways that make a meaningful, lasting impact? That's the central question for me. FI fourth is no better. I mean, it's a different kind. I mean, the thing is, there's always a trade-off, right? Like, my dad, he was FI fourth. He didn't seem to have a lot of difficulty knowing what he wanted. He seemed to have some difficulty being lovable, I guess. He was such a control freak. I mean, the thing about FI fourth is it seems like FI fourth people know clearly enough what they want, but it often runs afoul of the fact that, you know, emotionally, what's most important to us is our relationships. And that's unavoidably going to be the case in any healthy human being, right? That the substance of your emotional needs and or significances are going to be other people. But, you know, FI knows what you want, and it is not about being a team player. It's about getting the outcomes that you desire. So it's not necessarily conducive to easy relationships, because FE is the function that's conducive to easy relationships. It's the one that says, I'll be a team player, I don't really have a strong preference here, etc. And you know, the consequence of that for FE people is there can be a feeling of unreality to things, feeling of sort of jaded haze. There's a song that Rachel and I listened to yesterday in the car. Bad or good, there's nothing could take away this tasteless shade of haze. Nothing tend to make me an impotent. That song is a super INFJ song. It's about, like, basically being jaded and also able to make other people excited about you. This is about as INFJ a song as you can get. So I see I don't have a whole lot of attendees here at the old live streameroo. One person. Well, what are you going to do? Let's see. Yeah, JF, but beyond that, for me, it disappears so fast. How am I supposed to read these things when they disappear so quickly? You know, for INFJs and to a lesser extent, I think ENTPs, yeah, JF, but beyond that, for me, even knowing who the self is has been a big arc, then coming to care for it and everything entirely. YouTube is often algorithmically drunk. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, I think for both ENTPs and INFJs, there's a desire to have fun, be lost in the moment, but a difficulty in attaining that level of fun where you're really lost in the moment. And, you know, there's a certain curse of awareness that goes along with being an intuition Dom, where everything's either, if you're an NE Dom, there are just endless possibilities and a lack of clarity about singular courses of action, inability to follow through on them, or you're locked into knowing what things are all the time, and there's a paucity of possibilities to liberate you from what you objectively, unavoidably know about the world. Of course, I think INFJs are the least capable of analyzing themselves correctly because they're the most locked into their observations externally. You know, INFJs can't help but know about that which they observe. And the world's full of ugly things. It's kind of unavoidable that every INFJ is jaded. What I know is the mind's capacity to fill in details gives us a sense of unavoidable whimsy. I mean, sometimes sometimes I feel whimsical. Sometimes I don't feel very whimsical. So it is a surprise then that INFJ is the most whimsical. I don't think INFJ is the most whimsical type at all. In some sense, they're the least whimsical type. They like whimsy, but, you know, it's like, if you know about the external world first and foremost, then what that means functionally is that you, no problem, is that you, you deal with things as they are. There's not that much stuff that's genuinely delightful. It's hard to find. INFJs love consuming media. It's their most natural state of being because they are knowers about communicative matters by nature. So I like to consume a lot of media too, but it also makes me feel like I'm being lazy. There, that's pretty good. No, that's not good. This is this long corded lavalier mic I have that, shoot, I have to do work. Still listening though. Well, good for you. You got work to do. That's not a terrible thing. I'm gonna have to, at some point, probably get a regular job too. Before I do that, I'll need to get my teeth fixed, at least some of them. It's funny how the mind finds things to worry about and stress about, even as the immediacy of stressors and worrisomeness goes away, Like, I'm in this context now where I really don't have anything much to worry about. I just got to do a couple little things here and there and relax and try to have fun and stuff. But it's like, it's a matter of mood, It's a matter of mood. If I'm in the right kind of mood, then I'm not worried. I'm busy, active, having fun, enjoying every moment. That seems like increasingly a rarity for me. The amphetamines don't seem to work as well as they used to, or maybe I'm doing them differently a little bit, but you are very creative with words and meaning behind them. In our days, there is a certain value to transform words into value. Well, I would like to think that it has value. I'm a good communicator. I'm a wordsmith of sorts, and I'd like to think I have a variety of pretty good insights. Most importantly, I do the slog because I'm an SI type, which means I start with vagary and pound it into shape over time. So my understanding of cognitive functions is pretty right on the money now, but it wasn't always. It's because I wasn't using NI to make my determinations. I was using TI and then validating vaguely with NI resonance, It makes for a much more precise product ultimately, but it takes time to get there, I've been YouTubing now for a good 10 years almost. And for most of that time, I've been talking about developing ideas about, etc., cognitive functions. Cognitive functions have become essentially the default way I understand the world. It reframed all of my philosophical notions such that now no philosophy begins without the philosopher and the words that they express being an expression of their attentional configuration, We might talk about deontology and Kant and stuff, But we won't understand the philosophy correctly unless we understand that Kant wrote what he did, how he did it, and why he did, because he was an NTP. And accordingly, everything he says reflects an NTP's bias. Because not only did he say all that stuff as an NTP, he said it in a vacuum because he didn't know cognitive functions. So he didn't recognize his own behavior as being expressive of an intentional configuration, and his own work as artifacts of an individual's agency via that intentional configuration, and thus he was limited in his ability to be totally correct about things. You can't be totally correct about things unless you understand how and why you or yourself are limited in your capacity to be correct about things, and how and why you yourself are necessarily limited in your inclusions. You're not going to be able to do good service to the attentional manners that aren't your conscious ones. Political videos that mock debate must be really irritating to watch. If you do so, it would be obvious to you the faulty premises included that knowing both parties argue in bad faith. I mean, the thing is, in my opinion, almost every such internet debate, YouTube debate, both parties are arguing in bad faith because it's a rhetorical exchange, not a dialectical one. If you use language well and you engage in a process of negationary exchange with somebody else's ideas or with that person, in an ideal world, both parties are detached from all the ideas and are just simply trying to refine the language into that which best expresses the truth. But that is the starkest of minorities of instances when that occurs. Almost every single instance of people engaging are adversarially, rhetorically is adversarial. One of them is trying to win, the other is trying to win, and neither of them wants to learn anything in the process, you know? Or any learning that's going to go on is going to go on after the round is over, as they reflect upon it later. I'd much rather engage with the kind of genuinely smart people who are interested in testing their own ideas against somebody else's scrutiny so that they can improve them, jettison the bad ones, etc. Like when I talked to that guy, T-Jump, oh my God. That was frustrating. Because here I am presenting an advocacy that's an absolutely brilliant advocacy that would do immense good for the country, that solves a chronic and growing problem that's plaguing every city on the West Coast at least. And instead of even considering what I was saying, he just said, well, that idea is not tested, therefore it's bad, ignoring the fact that everything that we've done so far has failed. I know you'll probably be against it, but look at creative side of artificial intelligence. It's coming anyway, and it totally helps to share wisdom in creative ways. I'm not against it. I'm not against using tools that help me to do whatever, and nor am I third slot selfish about extroverted intuition. I don't think every idea has to be mine, you know. That's a third slot anything. But I'm just not accustomed to using those kind of tools for anything. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I do know that there are like apps that will instruct you on how to say things in varying degrees of diplomacy. For me, it's not a failure to understand how to speak more diplomatically. It's a habit of expressing what I want to express as clearly and forthrightly as possible, rather than prioritizing an approach that's more inclusive, that encourages more people to engage the material. I'd rather be clear and off-putting than vague and appealing. But the basic problem is this. The truth is what we need. And the truth, when I'm talking to other people, is more often than not, no, you're totally wrong. That's the truth. So it's like, what am I supposed to do, right? Am I supposed to tell them that they're totally wrong? Well, that's what I do. Or am I supposed to try to finagle it so that, like, they kind of get that they're wrong, but I don't say it really? That's not really my strong suit. Third slide FE is not that nuanced, you know? Oh, I did bring this. God damn it. I went and bought another one of these things this morning because I thought I'd forgotten my charger, and it was right in here. I even looked in here before I bought it, but somehow I just didn't see it, I guess. That's because you're dumb. Rebecca, why are you so mean? Rebecca is so mean. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, see, I still do want to finish smoking that cigarette, but I couldn't stand outside and smoke it because they've got the internet stops like exactly at the door. It's crazy. So if you want to have any internet, you got to be inside the building. But I've got a plan. I got a sneaky secret plan. We're going to try it out and see if it works. First, let me make this taller. That's going to be step number one. Step number two is going to be to put this right here. Okay. Step number three is going to be to do this. Uh-huh. Now, you're inside, but I'm outside. But thanks to the magic of this lavalier mic, you can still hear me. Pretty slick, huh? I can't obviously read your chats from around here, but I'm feeling like, hey, that's some good TE, Eric. You just solved your problem. You should get the Nobel Prize for extroverted thinking. Because, like, this is what I would call solution. This is a real solution. This is the kind of solution that would get you a job at Solution Pros, the solution-oriented solvency squad. So while other people can't live stream and smoke at the same time at this hotel, this guy can. He figured it out. He's smart like that. It's after 8 a.m. now. I'll probably wrap up this stream pretty soon and go rouse Rachel. Hit the road back towards the old homestead. we've got some wedding preparations tasks to attend to. We need to go get a marriage license in Mariposa County. We need to send out invitations. We're just gonna do evitations. I need to respond to the caterer who sent us a quote. I haven't checked that email yet. I also need to reply to somebody who PayPal'd me for a typing session. Well, I say within 48 hours, and I still got till this afternoon or this evening for it to be 48 hours, so it'll be okay. So, it must have been pretty exciting to be in here while I was outside. That probably changed your life. For the better, hopefully. For the better. I know it changed my life. Ever since I went outside, I left the camera inside, everything's different. I feel finally, for the first time ever, empowered to dream. Hello again, Winston's mom. Hello. How are you? I hope you're well. Now, for those of you who would like to attend the wedding, please do indicate so at some point in the chat, and or send me your email address saying, yes, I want to be invited to the wedding, and I'll invite you. I know Winston's mom does, and she's invited, but some of the rest of you might want to come too, I don't know. Lou, obviously, you're invited. It's July 8th, and you've got a choice of prime rib or a vegetarian option of some sort. It's like, can you place my picture on the stool and play my audio to congratulate you? I could. Yeah, we could do that. We'll live stream the wedding, of course. We wouldn't want to have an event that's not live streamed. What would be the point of that? Oh yeah, Dave Porter's getting invited too, for sure. Hi, Cameron. Nice to see you. You know, Cameron, Rachel, and I drove very far back into the wilderness the other day until we encountered a big log that we couldn't get past. And I thought, gosh, if only I had a chainsaw. So we're looking forward to you coming up. And since, you know, we aren't going to Missouri, then, you know, show up whenever. You said the 27th, but if you want to come the 26th, 25th, that's fine too, you know. All the snow's gone. It's all melted away. And spring has sprung. You bought an electric chainsaw? Is it battery powered, or do you have to plug it in? The problem with electric chainsaws that you have to plug in is that limits the distance you can go away from your house. Awesome. That thing is gonna be badass. We're gonna be able to chop shit like no problem. I just be like, chop. Chop the shit out of stuff. And you know, I use battery. Well, that's good. You know, one thing I want to do when you get there too is I've been keeping my eye out for the right piece of wood. I want to make another wooden pipe. I like to make wooden pipes periodically, just for kicks. And but really what I want to make is a wooden bong. Now that's a challenging proposition, right? You need your bong to be watertight, obviously, and you need it to have a stem go in there, right? So you got to bore that hole very precisely and possibly get a rubber washer to go in there. But it's not inconceivable that you might be able to make someday a wooden bong that works. That's my goal. It's my dream. We all have dreams and hopes, aspirations. That's mine. And, you know, right now, I continually am just thinking, wow, we have so much very good weed. I'll bring my, oops, it faded away too fast. I couldn't see it. I'll bring my drill bit, rasp, and hole saws. Excellent. Excellent. We're not going to paint it. You don't paint your bone. That's a good way to get unpleasant chemicals in your lungs. There's a wood that turns stone-like. It's called petrified wood. Our cognitive functional totem pole. Start with the ISTJ cognitive functions and stack them into an ISTJ. Well, I hadn't considered making a totem pole, but now maybe I will. I don't know. I just don't know. I also wouldn't mind making an ashtray. That might be a worthwhile thing to make. I need 3 ashtrays. I've got 2 currently. I've got a bucket of water on the deck, and I've got, well, Cameron's an ISTJ. Probably that's why she said ISTJ first, Eureka TV. I've got a bucket of water on the redwood deck that a mouse drowned in, apparently. I went out there the other day and I to smoke, and I put a cigarette butt in the bucket, and I noticed there was the head of a mouse floating in there. Since then, it's sunk to the bottom, I guess. I'm hopeful that with all the cigarette butts that somehow the chemicals of soaking cigarette butts just dissolve the mouse. Wooden dough bowls that sell for $300 as found objects. That's ridiculous. Also, you know, Cameron, I've made a lot of progress picking that gray stuff off of that wall. Like, that sounds like something I want to do today when I get home, is pick more gray stuff off of that wall. It's gratifying when you get In college, modern religion was set apart by being monotheistic. Is the use of totem pole a polytheistic thing? Also, maybe trouble put the mouse in there. I think the mouse just fell in there. It was like walking around the lid of it and fell in. But it's possible trouble put the mouse in there. Oh, I just saw the head. I assumed the body was floating beneath it. It was in the water beneath it. The water was very dark because it's full of cigarette butts, so I couldn't really tell. Yeah, I'm excited for you to come up, Cameron, and to hook you up with a large amount of very good weed. That's the craziest thing, is the weed's so good. It smokes beautifully. It gets you high. We've been smoking the shit out of it, and it still gets me high. And the can of butter we made out of it is so strong. You have like 1 spoonful of can of butter, and is this a live stream from rehab? Yeah, I'm in rehab for marijuana. I'm learning the 12 steps. My life is powerless when I smoke marijuana. I'm just wild and out of control all the time. No, this is at a hotel. Kind of looks like rehab, but it's a hotel. We came down to visit my daughter briefly. Yes, we did. We figured out deoxycarbonization. We put the weed on a cookie tray, baked it at like, I think it was 270 or something, really low temperature, 250 maybe, whatever it said on the internet, and did that for about 40 minutes, flipping it periodically. And then we put it in the crock pot with butter and let it slowly go for a couple of hours, and bam, the shit'll knock you out. 2 spoonfuls, you're done. 2 spoonfuls, good night. 1 spoonful, you can stay awake maybe. But we don't even use it to, like, you're supposed to use can of butter to make cookies or whatever, right? But we just eat a spoonful of butter. It's easier that way. Why bother with all the shenanigans, right? Just have a spoonful of butter. If it's too gross, just have a bite of bread with it, and it tastes like bread and butter. Well, my phone is running out of electricity here. We're down to my last 15%. We're a little bit over an hour. So I think what I'm going to have to do here, also I'm starting to have to pee. I think I'm going to have to end this stream right now. I know it's a short one. Go get Rachel up. Get out of here. Go back to Mariposa and probably stream again later. Because we did get Adderall from Delilah yesterday. So I'm feeling peppy, like Pepe Le Pew. Thanks, Cameron. See you later. And I'll see you in about a week. Goodbye, everybody. Love you all. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.